with breaking news out of the Middle East. It appears that 400 plus Canadians anxious to leave Gaza won't be able to today, despite assurances from the government that could have been the case. That's because the Rafa border between Gaza and Egypt is closed for a second day following a breakdown between parties negotiating to keep it open to let foreign nationals out. This week, more than 1,000 foreign nationals were allowed to leave through that border for the first time since the October 7th attacks. Canadians were not among them. Canada's ambassador to Egypt is on the ground as the situation unfolds. He's with us from Cairo now. Hi, Ambassador. Pleasure to welcome you back to our program. Thank you for making the time.
Oh, it's a great pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I know there are a lot of Canadians trying to basically discern between all the reports we're hearing at the border, at the Rafa border. What is the latest information you can share with people watching? Is that border supposed to open today at any point?
Well, it was supposed to open today. I mean, as you know, it was closed yesterday following disagreements between the different parties. So we were hopeful it would open today, but it did not. Still to this time, it has not opened. I mean, Egypt has dispatched its Minister of Health and the Governor of North Sinai to the Rafah border crossing last night, to initiate conversations, discussions. But up to now, there hasn't been a resolution of the matter.
So essentially, the two parties are at a standstill at that border, which I would take, and I imagine Canadians watching would take, means those Canadians who thought they might get out as early as today, that will not be the case.
Well, it's getting late. It's currently almost like 2:30 here in Cairo. So for today, it might be very, very challenging. But nonetheless, I mean, good on the Egyptians to try to find a resolution of the matter by sending, an extremely respected minister to the border and their governor of North Sinai. So hopefully, cross my fingers that we will see Canadians come to Cairo in the coming days.
Yeah, what kind of light can you shed on that? Because the latest communication to those Canadians who are stuck there and that their families have shared with many media outlets essentially said that there were some assurances that in the coming days, they said as early as Sunday, but in the coming days, Canadians would be among the foreign nationals who are able to get out. What can you tell us about those conversations? Why, what kinds of assurances exactly have been provided?
Yeah, so the conversation, I would say, started before the standstill, where we were in touch with the Canadians and the permanent residents and family members on the other side. We were hopeful that, from all the indication that we had received, that we would have 200 Canadians come through on Sunday, 216 coming through the following day. But then disagreement happened between Hamas, Egypt, and Israel on individuals crossing the border. So since then, because the border has not been operational, nobody has managed to come through. We are at a standstill, and unless there's resolution of the matter between the different parties, I mean, we're in a holding pattern. But I want to rest you assured that here in Cairo, our team is ready. When they come across, bring them to Cairo, give them shelter, food, care, empathy as well. For the very difficult situation they're in.
Is it your understanding then, based on the conversations that kind of predate this standstill, that if the standstill were to be resolved, you do anticipate Canadians, all the Canadian citizens who want to leave would be able to over, it sounds like, a 2-day period?
Well, that's I would say that's the hope. However, to be frank with you, there's a number on the list being published in the past with a number of countries. Let's say a country would be assigned, 200 spots for their nationals to come through the Rafah border. Because of the pressure, because of the fairly lengthy process, I would say on the exit side, on the entry side, countries have not managed to get the full number of nationals to come through. So yes, we have 200 Canadians scheduled to come through. We hope all of them will come through, but we have, to be responsible and work on the contingency plan in case they cannot come during a given day.
And I know, Ambassador, pardon me, sorry.
No, please go ahead.
I was just going to say, I know that there's many different people involved in those discussions, but the people who have family there have primarily asked us, in the media, to relay to those involved in those discussions their concern about why Canadians haven't been among the foreign nationals who were already let out, why other countries essentially were able to get people out before Canada. Is there any information you can shed light on with respect to that?
I think, all countries, there's many countries waiting for their nationals to come through. There's close to 60 countries. So if you go back to Saturday, when before the standstill, there was approximately 50% of those 60 countries that had managed to get some of their individuals through. There's a number of countries, like very respected countries, friends of Canada. I can think here of Norway, New Zealand, Sweden, Romania, for example, which has a great contingent in Gaza. They have not, at this point, managed to get their people through. I think there's no strategy here, to.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is there any rhyme or reason to it, basically?
Not necessarily. I think the first few days, when people were coming through, I think strategically the forces involved in allowing people to come through, they targeted a number of countries that had smaller contingent of individuals. So that's why you had that. You had a number of countries with minimal people. They were allowed to come through more on a trial basis. And then certain countries, the US, Jordan, who had larger contingents, were allowed to let some of their people come through. But there's no rhyme of reasons. I wouldn't read too much into it. I think, everyone is waiting patiently. And I know for a fact, here in Cairo, being in daily contact with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with other parties, that they're doing their very best to find a solution to go forward.
Ambassador, I'll leave it there. I do appreciate your time as always. Thank you.
Anytime. Have a great day.
You too.